In this assignment, we're going to take a look at creating some first files in Google Drive. I know this is old news for some of you, but I still want you to go through the entire video so that I can see that you've created the files when I come around to your desk. The first thing we want to talk about is the fact that this year it is brand new that you each have a Google Drive account associated with your Marquette High email. So if you go to drive.google.com, different things are going to occur depending on what previous Gmail accounts you have and your Marquette High account. So type in drive.google.com, press enter, and I'm on my own individual tablet. So I have several Google Drives, but one of them is set up as my default. And it happens to be the one that I've been using for several years. And purposefully, I have some files that are not inside of folders. And I have some folders up here. So this is what a Google Drive looks like. This happens to be the one that is associated with hardkeycarol@gmail.com. And of course, you guys do not have access to these. This is my personal folder, my personal drive, but I could create a folder that I would share with you in this drive. And I've done that, creating a shared folder, but that is in my drive associated with my Marquette High email. So I'm going to go up here and show you, whoops, notifications. I need a little more space here. Let's see what I can do here. Right over here, running off the edge of my screen capture video. If I click on this icon, you can see that I actually right now have 3 Google Drive accounts running. One of them happens to be the one that we use with Yearbook only, and this is the one you're looking at right now, the Hardkey, nope, sorry, this is the one, of course, my default one is the one you're looking at, the hardkeycarol@gmail.com. So let me click here and go to the hardkey@muhs.edu, and you will have the same decision to make also when you go to Google Drive. And if you're at a computer that is not your own, of course, you can't stay logged in, so it's going to ask you to enter your password. So now I am at the hardkey@muhs.edu drive, and this happens to be the shared folder that you each received an email message earlier this weekend that said that you were invited to share that folder with me. So whatever's in that folder, let me double click on that folder. And you can see a couple of things, our slideshow, our get to know each other slideshow, and a file that we worked on in class. And now I'm going to create a file in this drive so that you'll see that you also have access to it. And it shows me once you put pictures, if you put a picture associated with your account, then your faces would show up here, plus 6 more. And I have not put a photo associated with this folder either. So the new button, if we click the new button here, it asks, do you want to make a new folder, or do you want to upload files, or do you want to start making a new file? And there's a more button, so you can see that there are even more types of applications here. So let's start by making a Word document, so a Google Docs. And it reminds me here, you're in a shared folder. Am I sure I want to create this in the shared folder? And I'm going to say OK for this file. But in general, if you're doing a homework assignment, be careful who you share it with. So the very first thing you should do when you open a document is to give it a title. Otherwise, you'll have tons of files all called untitled document. So I'm going to call this sample doc 1. And I'm just going to put a title would go here. And this is the text of my first Google document. All right, and you will quickly learn, if you've learned one software application for word processing, you'll be able to quickly find the tools to do others. So here is clearly a font pull down. So I can change the size of the font. The type of the font is right next to it, not as many fonts as you have loaded in Microsoft Word in Marquette High's uh, Word fonts, but you have many choices here. And then you could click OK. And of course our color for our font, we get a pull down over here, and it gives you web-based colors to begin with. And of course we don't have to have this all the same, so if I highlight just this text, and I could change it to a different style, and I could change just that text to a different size. And I guess that looks kind of odd. Let me make the words the same. So put your cursor where you want, and you will quickly learn the options of the things that you can do. You can see you have buttons here for commonly used things. So if you see this insert comment, that would be important for you to realize when we're working on a document together. If I choose some text and then if I start typing over here, I could say Joe Acker should fix this sentence. Okay, and then when I click comment, it stays over here, so I can use my scroll bar. I'm not using my entire window, by the way, for my screen capture, so that's why my window's a little more narrow than yours. Okay, so comments show up separately from the document, and there's a resolve button. So once we don't need that comment anymore, clicking the resolve button, the comment will go away. All right, so I just see something odd there. Doesn't matter. And the weirdest thing for me, switching to Google Docs after so many years of doing Microsoft Word, is that it's automatically saved. So I'm always thinking, have I saved this? So it gives me a reminder here. All changes have already been saved. And it'll tell you when the last edit was made as well. So there are many things you see under, you can investigate all the menus, you can see we can insert tables, and the things like making charts and graphs, we can go to search for add-on applications that we can combine with our Google document. So instead of having everything be available to everyone, like it is in Microsoft Word, Google has kind of gone with this idea that let's keep the software basic and then each person can put in whatever add-ons they want. I'm not a big fan, but I can see where this is actually an easier way for many people to get started. Okay, so I've created a sample document 1. Would you each please also create a similar document? It doesn't have to be exactly the same. And give it a different name. So put your name up here. Notice, by the way, if I click up there, I can change that name anytime. So if I come back up here, I can say sample hardkey doc 1, and perhaps you could each put your last name if you're creating it in our shared folder. All right, then we want to make sure, notice that this file created in its own tab, I could keep it open and I could go right back to my Google Drive tab, or you could close the tab for that document. So now when we go back, you can see that I have created a new document and it tells me that I created that. I'm inside of our shared folder. If I go and click on Drive again here, it takes me back a level, and it takes me, here's where we were a minute ago in our fall 2015 folder. Now I'm back at my drive, my upper level of my drive. So if I wanted to create a file that was not shared with all of my students, I might put it in this computer applications folder. So let me double click that folder. And you see that I have a couple. I have a copy of our slideshow and another file that has some photos in it. And now I'm going to go to New, and I'm going to create a Google Sheet. This is a spreadsheet, and we haven't done much with Excel spreadsheets yet, so this might seem a little odd to you. But if I create here, if I start typing and I choose these two, and I have a pattern, it looks like I'm counting. And then if I grab that little square and pull down, that's one of the things that spreadsheets can do. If I put in the number 345 here and the number 287 here, in this cell, I can go to my formula line and I can start with an equal sign and say, I would like to take this cell, and I click in it and B1 pops in, plus, and I'll click in this cell, and then when I hit enter, I get the answer. So when I click here, you can see it is a formula, the sum of two cells. And the magic of spreadsheets, if I go back to this cell and I change it to 400, you can see that the formula updated for me as well. And we'll learn a lot about Excel spreadsheets in Microsoft, and then you'll be able to do the same thing here. If I highlight this entire row, I could use insert and insert a row above, and then I could put this is the title of this spreadsheet. So you can see that we can put text in a spreadsheet, not just numbers. The one thing I didn't do right away, I didn't give it a title. So I'm going to click up here and I'm going to name this Hardkey Sample Google Sheet. So spreadsheets are what you call all of these. Excel is a type of spreadsheet. So Google just calls them sheets. Every Google file that you create has its own URL address up here. So you could copy and paste. If you copy that entire URL address, you could copy and put that in an email to a friend and say, go to this file. And the hyperlink would take them to your file. Or your other option is to use this share button. And when you click that share button, you can enter the names or email addresses of people you would like to share this with. Do you remember that I created this in my Hardkey at muhs.edu drive? So it might be a very common thing for you to share your file with yourself at another Google Drive address. So I might share this with my Gmail address. And then when I click send, it says, are you sharing with this person who is not part of the Google Apps organization that this item belongs to? Remember, I created this in our MUHS account, and Google is assuming that you want to share your schoolwork only with students and teachers from our school. But indeed, I intended to do this, so I will say yes. All right. And now, notice these tabs all stay open, but I don't need to keep this open. I'm going to close this. And now I'm back to my drive, and I can look up here, and let me scroll a little bit. You can see this is my Marquette High drive, and here's that spreadsheet that I just created. Now I'm going to show you that if I go to my Gmail drive, so I'm going to switch and go back to, and it starts looking confusing, which drive am I at? So this one I know that I am at. I can always come back up here. Let me scroll. I should have had just a little bit wider window. So now I can always see where I am. I'm now at my Hardkey Carol at gmail.com drive, and I just shared a file with myself, so I should be able to go to this shared with me and see all of the files that have been shared with me. Some of them are from students in previous semesters of this class. And here's that Hardkey sample file spreadsheet So if you want to have a file available in more than one of your drives, share it with yourself. All right, now I've got tabs open. This tab is my Gmail drive, and this tab, oops, and it defaulted and went back to the same one. So now I'm going to have to remember that I'm going to go back and forth. So now I'm going to go back to my MUHS drive. All right, and let's look at a folder here. There's couple other things I think for you guys who are new. There are 3 files here, and right now it's listed in this is list view, and if I click here to switch back to grid view, do you see the difference? So we get little icons for each one in grid view, and it toggles back and forth. So you could see them in list view, or you could see them in grid view. All right. Well, what else do I want you to do yet? So somewhere in your own drive, you should now go back, and if you haven't already, so go to your own drive, and I want to see that you've created a spreadsheet in your drive. So you should have created a Word file, and that could be in our shared folder. And then I want you to create a spreadsheet. I don't care what information you put in it, something similar to what I did in this video. So your spreadsheet should be in your own drive, okay? And I also then want to see that you know how to create Google Slides. So very quickly, let's do a new slide. And before I can do anything else, it asks me for a theme. And if you scroll down, you'll see this theme that I used. You've already seen this theme in our welcome slides, your introduction slides, and you could import additional themes, so you're not limited to just these. So let's do this Trek theme, and if I double click, that'll take the place of an OK, and now I can say title for trial slideshow. And if I don't like how that wrapped around, this is an object that's got corners, so I can resize it how I want. I can keep it centered. I can change the color, of course. Oops, that's the line color. My window is not as wide as yours will be if you're using full screen, so my text color got lumped here under the more, so it kind of collapsed my ribbon up here. So there's my text color, so if I wanted that text to be yellow. And of course you got the idea. I can type here, and you can do the same thing and put your name here. And then again, remember that you should always change so it doesn't have an untitled name for the file. Okay, so I'm going to call this Hartke trial slideshow. And somewhere in your own drive, you should make a trial slideshow. You can come back later. We're going to learn more about this. But we can just see here quickly that we can insert all sorts of things into each slide. And we can go to the slide menu and do a new slide. And then you can see, so we can just say second slide. And of course, we'll do more later with slideshows. All right, so again, remember this slideshow has its own URL address. So 2 ways that you could let other people see your slideshow file. You can copy and paste the URL address into an email, or you can use the share. The share button is very important that you realize that when you share it with people, the default is that they could edit your file. You might want people to be able to see your slideshow, but not change it. So then, of course, you could say these people can view. And if you just start typing some names, so I used Joe Acker as an example before, if I start typing, these are all of the Marquette High students at the time I'm making this video. And as I start typing, it will keep improving the selection. So if I wanted Joe Acker to be able to view this file, it is in my drive. It is not in a shared folder. So Joe Acker is the only person who could now view this file, but he could not change or edit the file. So the sharing options. So if I click send, Joe Acker happens to be a current student early in the alphabetical list. So he will get an email saying that he's got a shared file and he'll be able to view it but not edit it. So now as part of this assignment, you should each make your own trial slideshow. Do not put it in our shared folder, put it in your drive. So I will come around when you've completed this assignment and see that you have made a document, a spreadsheet, and a sample slideshow. And we'll learn more about each of them later.